Chris, just why don't, yeah. I love you, Chris, but I think Garrett can do this better.
So Chris Smith is one of the guys that after I would finish speaking, I would walk up to and say, how could I do better? How could I improve? And he'd give me phenomenal feedback. And then it was time to tell my story. And so as I filmed my origin story, I hired Chris to come in and actually direct that. So he's going to help you to embrace and unlock the leader that you are within. The leader that's there, but maybe not fully apparent in the world, and to give you the language and verbiage and what it takes to unlock that so you can show up powerfully for your clients in a way that you could truly see them, listen to them, and then powerfully move their case forward. So Chris Smith, Campfire Effect, Family Brand, and Rodeo Roper too. So Chris Smith.
Yeah, thank you so much, Garrett, and it's an honor to be here. And yeah, we split time between Arizona and Hawaii. I grew up in a ranching rodeo family, and was telling Tyler today here that we're also learning to surf, so we're trying to live a surfer cowboy lifestyle, if that's such a thing. I am really honored, first and foremost, to have my oldest son, Tate, here with me. He's 15, and you know, my wife, Melissa, and I, we have 5 children, and if you could have asked me before I was a dad, if I could have imagined the most incredible scenario of a son multiplied by 10, I couldn't have imagined Tate. And I'm just grateful to be here with him. And thank you. And for those of you who don't, man, start bringing your kids on one-on-one trips. I try to bring one of my kids every time I speak. And as Scott mentioned, my kids have benefited a lot from everything that Scott does, and it's incredible. Tate and his brother have an incredible t-shirt company that has a really mission-driven message. So if you want to give him an opportunity to practice his pitch, ask him about his t-shirt business. Be careful, you might walk away with some t-shirts. He's pretty good. So everything that I want to talk about, so Scott mentioned my wife and I founded a business together called Family Brand, and I won't say a lot about that, but basically the idea is we're really intentional about building brands for our companies and our businesses. Why would we not build a brand for our family? And so if you want to know more about how to create a really intentional brand for your family and develop your mission, vision, values, you can go to familybrand.com. My wife runs that. She's amazing at it. We have a podcast. And I'm going to talk today about the Campfire Effect methodology that Garrett mentioned. And it's a methodology we created to help advisors, and that's really the only people we serve as financial advisors. We work with some estate planning firms, because my belief is there's only 2 things you have to differentiate yourself, and that's leadership and language. That's it. And I was an advisor, and just make a long story really short, I just embraced leadership and language. I helped our firm embrace it, and within a couple years, we were bringing in as many assets under management in a month as we'd ever done in the history of the firm in a year. And that's when I realized I felt more called to go out and share that with other people than I did being an advisor, but I love this industry. So for several years, we've been coaching advisors, and we coach hundreds of advisors every year. And nothing that I share with you today is theoretical. Like, we really live this and we teach this. We had a client last week on our group coaching call, so they just brought in their first ever $20 million plus client, and they said we just followed the leadership and language method. Probably the coolest success story we've had recently is a firm in Boston, really successful firm, 3 founders, but one of the advisors on their team is on pace to bring in $50 million in assets this year as a team member using the leadership and language model, which is more than some of the firms that we coach bring in total as a firm. And so what do I mean when I say leadership and language? Leadership is your way of being and how you're showing up. And look, if I can say anything about leadership, your clients are not looking for an advisor, they're looking for a leader. No one's looking to work with an advisor. They want to work with a leader. Because advisors give advice and advice informs, but leaders provide leadership and leadership transforms. And so it's like, what business do we want to be in? Do we want to be another advisor out just giving advice? Or do we want to be a leader who's providing leadership? How many of you would agree that the world is looking for leadership maybe right now more than ever? People are starving to be led. I don't think most people coming into a client discovery meeting with an advisor are thinking, you know what, I hope I just get some really great advice today. They're walking in thinking, I hope someone can lead me and my family, help us achieve everything that's important and what's possible to us. And I think one of the things that we shy away from too much in this industry is being bold and confident and courageous. So, funny analogy, how many of you, if you had to have an open heart surgery, how many of you would love to work with a humble heart surgeon? Okay, so let's say you're back there, right? You're all dressed up. First surgeon walks in and says, hey, Peter, I know this is a really big deal, open heart surgery. I know it's really scary, and I just want to let you know, I'm pretty good at what I do. Like, I'm not the best, I'm not the worst, no one's died yet. I think you're going to be okay, so let's give it a go. Okay? Versus, what's your name?
Heather.
Heather. Second heart surgeon comes in and goes, Heather, I know this is a really big deal. I know this can be really scary. I just want to let you know, humbly speaking, I'm one of the best in the world at what I do. I've done this hundreds of times. I can do it with my eyes closed. You could not be in better hands. We're absolutely going to take care of you. You are going to come out of this better than you came in. You have nothing to worry about. Which heart surgeon you want to go with?
Heather's.
Yeah. So what's interesting is we would all want to have the bold heart surgeon, but we're afraid to be the bold advisor. So we would want the bold advisor for us, but a lot of times we're showing up as that humble advisor, and it's like, now, some people say, well, people don't want an arrogant, narcissistic, egotistical advisor, and I'm like, well, yeah, then don't be one, right? And you know what's so interesting, and I think we've gotten this backwards in our society. Let's say that one of you right now, unannounced to me or anyone else, just stood up in the room and declared to the room, hey, I want everyone here to know that I'm an incredible leader, and I've been blessed with some God-given talents, and I'm really amazing at what I do, and with those talents, I know I can help a lot of people. Okay, if you're being really honest, what would most of us, or what would most of society say about that person? Arrogant, egotistical, narcissist, had their head fit through the door, right? Then a little while later, someone else pops up in the room and says, hey, unlike that person a few minutes ago, you know, I'm not that big of a deal. I'm not the best. I'm just trying my best, just trying to help people. But I'm not that special, nothing important about me. Most of us would say that person's being what? Humble. And here's why that's completely backwards. Most people, and I've tested this thousands and thousands and thousands of times, I've never had anyone say that first person wasn't narcissistic or egotistical, because we're so flabbergasted by the fact that someone would have that much belief and confidence in themselves, right? Someone saying, I'm really amazing at what I do, and I've been given some, incredible gifts, and I'm a powerful leader. We miss the last part of the statement when they say, and with those gifts, I know that I can help a lot of people. So how could that possibly be arrogant or narcissistic or egotistical? What they're really saying is, I'm willing to be bold and I'm willing to embrace my gifts because it's not about me. And then the person over here who's saying, I'm not that big of a deal, I'm nothing important, I'm nothing special, who's the only person they're obsessed with or talking about or focusing on? Them. That's selfish. That's actually egotistical. One of the most unselfish, courageous things you can do is just embrace the fact that you matter, that you've been given gifts by God, and with those gifts you can go serve and help and bless a lot of people. So stop making up this story about it and just go be bold. Serve people. Advisors give advice, but leaders provide leadership. And there's people out there that are dying to be led. Your team, your prospective clients. It's one of the most powerful things you can do to stand out. And so what is this idea of leadership? So I'm going to give you really 3 quick definitions of how we define leadership. So the first definition that we give of leadership is leaders have an ability to enroll people into a bigger vision of what's possible than those people can see for themselves. That's what great leaders do. They help you see that more is possible than you could see for yourself. And I bet if I had time, every single one of us could think of someone in our life who's done that for us, right? Maybe it's a parent, a mentor, a coach, a spouse, a colleague, someone who at some point in time in our life helped us see that there was more that was possible than we could see for ourselves, right? And here's what's so fascinating about human beings. We can never see what's actually possible We can only see what we think is possible. Does that make sense? Well, how do we get access to what's actually possible? It's always through another person who's committed enough to share that with us. So as a really practical application, when a prospective client comes in to sit down with you, something to think about is, am I just asking them about their goals? Or am I asking them about their goals, and am I also asking them about what's possible? Because if people leave that first meeting with you with a bigger vision of what's possible than they walked in, what do you think that leads to? Yeah. A lot of possibility. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with asking someone what their goals are. It's a great place to start. But if you think about it, if you ask someone, hey, what are your goals as it relates to retirement? What are your goals as it relates to wealth? They're just going to tell you what they think is possible. You've got to help them see what's actually possible. And every time we have an advisor who starts to do this and we teach them how to do this with language, they say we've never helped a prospective client see what was actually possible, and then they go implement it with someone else. If we're the ones that help them see it's possible, then who do they naturally look to see it through? You. And most people just aren't speaking possibility into people. Like the reason I am married today and have 5 children instead of just 2 is 14 years ago when my wife and I were separated, going to get divorced, and been to marriage counselor after marriage counselor after marriage counselor, and we're finally going to give up. We finally met with a marriage counselor who wasn't just a counselor, he showed up as a leader. And he spoke possibility into us. And it changed my life. And that's all I was looking for. I just needed one person who was willing to speak possibility into me and tell me I had something worth fighting for. Every other marriage counselor before that just told me what they did and how they could help me and how much they would charge. It's like, man, are we speaking possibility into people? Are we speaking possibility into our teams? And then the second definition of leadership is your willingness to challenge people more than they've ever been challenged while supporting them more than they've ever felt supported. So we just simply refer to that as high challenge, high support. Any of you think people want to be challenged?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, why would we challenge someone though? Are we trying to be challenging, or why would we challenge someone as a leader? Because we believe in them, right? We see their possibility, we see their potential. So can I share with you something that's practical that you could start saying at the end of every client discovery meeting? So that first meeting, would all of you like to have a statement that you could say that would absolutely solidify your differentiation and have them be like, whoa, no one's ever talked to me like that before?
For sure.
Okay, so Jimmy. So I'm going to pretend like I'm sitting down. So Jimmy and I have just had a client discovery meeting, right? And I say, hey, Jimmy, I want to thank you for coming in today. Like I said before, I know that we can make a difference for you. I'm really looking forward to our next meeting. And I just want you to know what you can count on from me and from our firm throughout this process, and if we end up working together. What you can count on from us is we're going to challenge you more than you have ever been challenged by another advisor or someone in this industry, because we believe in you, and we want you to achieve everything that's important to you and your family. You can also count on us to support you and your family more than you have ever been supported in achieving your goals. I'm looking forward to our next meeting. You think that might land for people? Versus sometimes we're like, well, yeah, it was great meeting with you, so our front office will get in touch with you. It's like, what the hell are we doing? No, use language. Talk to them like a leader. And people aren't used to being spoken to like this, you know? Another thing that I just want to say as a leader is we teach in our sales training that when someone comes in for a client discovery meeting, or you're interacting with someone, the very first thing you tell them is you tell them very boldly and declaratively what you're known for. Because something I realized several years ago is if we're not telling people what we're known for, then what's the risk in that? Then they get to make it up. And guess what? It's not open for interpretation. You don't get to decide what I'm known for or what we're known for at our firm. I'm going to tell you what we're known for. Anyone want to just do one right off the cuff? Anyone have an idea what the first thing that comes to mind for you if I was to say, hey, what do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for when people look at me and the advice that I give them,
that they're their number one asset, that their business is their number one investment, and the number one strategy that they can employ with their cash when they relinquish control of it is to keep it guaranteed, protected, and liquid, period. Okay, so I'll try my best to so if I'm Michael and someone comes in and sits down with me for the very first time, is this being recorded? Okay, because I'm going to talk fast, and you probably won't, but you can watch the replay. So I'm going to pretend that I'm you, okay? I'm going to say, hey, Michael, I want to thank you for coming in today. I'm really excited to sit down and meet with you. And as far as I'm concerned, today's meeting is all about you and what's important to you and your family. And I think it'd be useful if I shared with you just a little bit about what we're known for here. And the thing that we're known for more than anything at our firm is helping you see that you and your business are your number one asset. And we do everything in our power to protect that number one asset. And my intention for our time together today is to add value to you, whether we work together or not. And look, there is no pressure to today's meeting. The only thing you and I are going to decide today is if we have a second meeting. So just be here with me, right? And here's the promise I'll make to you, Michael. If I know that we can help you and add value to you, I'll tell you that, and we'll set up a second meeting. If I don't believe I can help you, you can count on me to tell you that, but I'll still offer any resources and recommendations I have. How does that sound? Beautiful.
You think framing up a meeting that way changes the outcome? Yeah, it's like, just tell them what you're known for. Be authentic with them. How many people believe, what do you think most people are feeling and thinking when they come into a client discovery meeting for the very first time? How much is it going to cost? Are they going to sell me something? Even though they want to be there, I think we underestimate how much pressure and noise and uncertainty they walk in with. And most advisors do nothing to relieve the pressure or the noise. And what is the risk if we don't release some of the pressure and the noise? They probably only hear and retain about 5 to 10% of what we say for an hour, because it's getting caught up and having to be filtered through all that noise. So guess what I just did with Michael? Now, some really intentional psychology that we've been working on for years. I go, hey, Michael, my intention is to add value to you, whether we work together or not. Hey, there's no pressure today. The only decision we're making today is if we meet again. And look, I'll make a promise to you. If I can help you, I'll tell you that. If I can't help you, I'll tell you that. Now I've got Michael to a point where I've got a guy here who can really hear what I'm saying, because I've just relieved all the pressure and made it easy. We can just really be together as two human beings around possibility. And then the third definition of leadership is, are you willing to be a demonstration of the possibility of what you teach? So when Scott said more is caught than taught, so look, if I'm Michael and my firm is, hey, what we're known for here is helping you see that you're your number one asset, then if I'm Michael, it's like, how am I living that? Yeah. Is my team living that? Am I willing to be the demonstration of what I teach, right? And sometimes, any of you ever get like feeling as an entrepreneur and as an advisor that it's just like, there's always something to do? Just doing, right? And what happens sometimes is we get so caught up in doing, we forget who we're being. And we forget who we're becoming. And a lot of times who we're becoming ends up being an unintentional consequence of all the things we're doing. And what I would rather you start to think about is, well, who am I being as a leader? And who am I becoming? And then the doing emanates from your being. And one of the things that we teach around language, as far as I can tell, and look, I've been studying language for a long time. In 6th grade at the year-end school assembly, I got the award at the end of the year. So, and I still to this day think I got punked, because my friend, 2 people in front of me, got like most likely to be president of the United States. My next friend got like most likely to succeed. And then right after that, they called my name, Chris Smith, least likely to be found in his seat. That was like my award. It was printed on like the certificate. And my mom's like, why'd you get that award? And I'm like, I have no idea, Mom. But it's because I was always up telling stories, right? So I've been focused on this idea of storytelling forever, and I've boiled it down to there's 3 things. There's what you say, and what you say matters. as I've been trying to demonstrate, like words matter, okay? There's how you say it, inflection, conviction, tonality, pauses, right? Like I could be Michael and say, yeah, I mean, sometimes we're kind of known for, or I can say, hey, look, at this firm, the thing we're known for more than anything, right? So there's what you say, there's how you say it. But then there's this third thing I never hear anyone talking about that I believe is more powerful than the first two combined. It's more powerful than what you say, it's more powerful than how you say it, and it's who are you being when you say it? Like, are you being a person who's like, man, I'm committed to this person sitting across from me. Like, I love this person sitting across from me. I want to help this person sitting across from me see what's possible, whether we work together or not. Like, who are you being when you say it? And look, language is the fundamental element of creation. I could talk about that line for 8 hours. Like, there's never been anything created in the history of the world without language. And every time you speak, it creates. You can't speak and it not create. And it's like, are we being intentional about our language? And you know the most beautiful thing about this industry is I don't know of another industry in the professional services space where you have more influence in the potential fulfillment of the living of someone's life than this industry. Think about the power of that. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of advisors in this industry, because of the way they show up as a leader or not, they might do a good job on the financial side for the client, right? And that client might be able to check the boxes and I'm never going to run out of money and I can retire. But if they never help that client see a bigger vision of what's possible, that client will not go live a bigger, more fulfilling, happier life. Just because of the advisor they ended up working with. And then there's others who will actually go live a more fulfilling, loving life of possibility just simply by the advisor they worked with. Any of you have clients who never ran out of money but yet like refuse to go like stay in the Marriott and they stay in the Motel 6? Any of you have clients who like struggle between Denny's and the steakhouse and you're like, go to the steakhouse, like go live your life. Like, but just really let that sink in for a second. Your industry has more influence over the fulfillment of the living of human beings' lives than any other professional industry. And the question I have is, do we see it that way? Do our team members see it that way? Guys, this is so much bigger than wealth management. This is so much bigger than money. This is really about waking people up to what's possible. And I guess just in closing, the last thing I would say is, look, you can't be so busy also building a business you forget to build your family. And you can't be building your business with intention, but building your family by default. I mean, you can. And to, like Garrett's, part of what led me to being in a marriage counselor's office is that was me. And my wife and I were actually laughing about this the other night, because we can laugh about it now, so because it's so far removed. But when our oldest son, Tate, was a baby, and I was just out hustling and grinding, a little bit of the striver and the high roller, right? Or trying to be. Tate was a newborn, and I told my wife, I go, Melissa, I'm just not a family guy. And she's thinking, well, that sucks, because I just started a family with you, you know? Like, damn, like, bad news for me, you know? And she was, I can't even remember saying that, and I kind of cringed, you know, but she was laughing. And, you know, fast forward to today, you know, we just got back this week from Europe, and we went, you know, as a family, we went and spent 5 weeks in Europe. And on the flight home, I was just like, I tried to add it up, and I was like, man, I think I probably worked about 8 hours in the last 5 weeks. And I just got to be with my family. And while I was with my family, our clients got coached. We enrolled new clients. We made sales. Like, all my emails got returned. And I would say even more than that, I experienced the most beautiful 5 weeks in the history of my life. I experienced more love and more peace and more freedom. And I feel like my mission now in life is just to receive as much of God's love as I can and just share it with the world. And if that's not for people, that's okay. I'll still love you and bless you. And I just want to elevate the consciousness and the love of this industry and help people see that, like, it's okay to love people. It's okay to speak possibility and life into people. And yeah, thank you for letting me be here.
Dude, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Chris, thank you. Thank you so much for showing up powerfully, communicating, articulating, using language in a way that just blessed every single person in this room. Thank you. Who has ever heard of Chris Naugle, Mr. Burr?